Rima, if you look at the markets for this quarter, like since January, we are stuck in that 900-point range, which means 5% on 18,000 levels, right? So it's not like we've seen despite the fact that we had this big Adani saga 2 weeks back, now we have the global risk off which is playing out. But having said that, we're not breaking 17,200 on the downside. We are not able to cross 18,100, 18,200 on the upside. So we're stuck in this very narrow range. Last week I spoke about the bit of momentum back in the mid cap and small cap. So the broader market outperformance continued this week as well, despite Nifty and Sensex down 2%. The broader markets have outperformed. So that trend continues, and that's likely to continue is what my sense is in the coming weeks as well. So that's something to track. I guess, the higher interest rates, the longer the higher interest rates continue, I think that's going to be the reality, at least in the near term. And that could actually mean some accidents globally as well as in India as well. So I think that's the risk that market needs to factor in going forward. The other important thing which we'll have to track for this month, for the month of March, is the domestic liquidity. The mutual funds are sitting on a lot of cash, almost over 1 lakh crore of cash they're sitting on. And historically, March is the month where you get a lot of insurance money as well because of the insurance premium that a lot of the investors pay off, right? So that is the big support or a cushion for the Indian markets, at least for the month of March. So that's the overall feedback, that there will be a bit of a cushion from the domestic flow, is what I understand. But as I said, even last week I had hinted about large block deals, and that trend continued this week as well. So I've just worked on some more data. So let me just go to the wall and explain what actually happened, since the January in terms of the large block data. So here's the data. If you look at, since January of 2023, the number will surprise you. 35,000 crores. That's the amount of what block deals have taken place in the Indian markets since the Jan 1st, which is close to $4.3 billion. As I said, among that, of course, the biggest chunk has gone to the Adani group. So Adani family has managed to raise $1.8 billion by selling stake in the 4 group companies to GQG. That was a big news that we all followed for in the last couple of weeks. So 4 companies, Adani Ports, Green, Enterprise and Transmission, where they sold large chunks, and they've managed to raise 15,400 crores, put all together 1.8 crores across all the family, across the Adani Group stock. So this was one promoter which sold a large chunk. There were also a couple of other promoters which sold a big chunk in the group companies in this quarter. So in Biocon, Biocon sold 10% in Syngene, and they raised close to 20 to 50 crores. And there was one more promoter where in Interglobe, the Galvan family, they sold another 3.7% stake, and they raised close to 3,000 crores. So these were some of the large promoter stake sales. Even if you look at the private equity investors or some strategic investors, they've sold big chunks in this quarter. So look at Coforge. Bering sold 10% stake in Coforge, and they've raised close to 2,200 crores. There was Apex Partners who sold 3% stake in Shriram Finance, which happened this week. That was a large block. Look at SoftBank selling out of Delivery. Not only SoftBank, but even Tiger Global, which is one of the large private equity investors. They sold a big chunk in SoftBank in this quarter. This week we also saw a large block in Home First Finance, where Bessemer, which is a VC Capital, they sold 7.8% stake there. So that was a large block. Alibaba, kept selling stake in Paytm this quarter, so that was a large block. And we also saw in Motherson Sumi, the Japanese partner, selling out 3% stake. So a lot of blocks have happened across promoters and private equity investors, in the first 3 months, so to speak. My sense is, what the investment banking are telling me, there are more such deals in the pipeline. So even for the next 3 weeks, you're going to see even more large blocks coming in, and the total size can actually cross $5 billion as well. So that's the amount of money which the promoters and private equity investors have raised by selling stakes in the Indian listed companies. So that supply overhang is likely to continue, and that's being a big reason why Indian markets are actually underperforming, and there is a bit of supply glut which keeps coming up every week, and that's been the trend which is likely to continue.
Okay, Nimesh, thanks a lot for that. So that's on the data, but let's move on. Nigel